It's 3:47 p.m., and Myra hears the front door slam before she even sees her son. Ethan drops his backpack in the middle of the hallway, kicks off his shoes so hard one hits the wall, and stomps past her without a word. 10 minutes later, when she gently asks about his day, he explodes, screaming that she doesn't understand anything, slamming his bedroom door so hard the picture frames on the hallway wall shake. Myra stands there, stunned, the same question running through her mind for the 100th time this month. Just an hour ago, she'd gotten an email from Ethan's teacher. It said he'd been a pleasure to have in class. Polite, cooperative, even helped a classmate pick up spilled crayons during free time. The mismatch feels almost impossible. How can the same 8-year-old be a model student for 7 hours and a ticking time bomb the second he walks through the door? Her husband, Henry, comes home to find her sitting at the kitchen table, phone in hand, scrolling through parenting forums at 10 at night. "Is it us?" she asks him. "Are we doing something wrong?" Henry doesn't have an answer either. He's watched the same pattern play out. A calm, agreeable kid at pickup. A completely different child by dinner. Teachers describe Ethan as easygoing. Grandparents call him sweet. But home, especially the first hour after school, has become a minefield neither of them knows how to navigate. What Myra doesn't realize yet is that she's not failing as a parent. She's witnessing something child psychologists have a name for. Something so common, it has its own term: restraint collapse. And once she understands what's actually happening inside Ethan's brain during that school day, the explosive after-school meltdowns won't feel like a mystery anymore. They'll feel like exactly what they are: the predictable, almost mathematical result of a nervous system that has been working overtime since 8 a.m. Because here's the truth most parents never hear: the better behaved a child is away from home, the harder they often fall apart the moment they feel safe enough to stop pretending. And by the end of this video, Myra and you will understand not just why this happens, but the exact 3-step approach that can turn that dangerous first hour after school from a daily battle into a moment of connection instead. To understand why Ethan falls apart at home, Myra first needs to understand what his school day actually costs him. From the outside, sitting at a desk for 6 hours doesn't look demanding. But for a child like Ethan, every single hour at school is an exercise in constant self-control. He has to sit still when his body wants to move. He has to raise his hand instead of blurting out the answer he's excited about. He has to share the blue crayon even when he wanted it first. He has to swallow his frustration when a classmate cuts in line, smile through a boring lesson, and follow instructions the moment they're given. All while managing the noise, the transitions, the social pressure of being watched by 25 other kids and one teacher all day long. Psychologists call this emotional labor. And for a young child, it draws from a battery that's disturbingly small to begin with. Every act of self-restraint, every swallowed complaint, every forced smile, every moment of sitting still when his legs are begging to run, drains that battery a little more. By 3 p.m., Ethan isn't being extra good. He's running on fumes, holding himself together through sheer will alone. Here's the part most parents never learn: self-control is not unlimited. It's a finite resource, and children have far less of it than adults. Ethan spends his entire supply just getting through math, recess politics, and the walk to the bus line without incident. He has nothing left over. And the moment he sees Myra's face, the one place on earth he trusts completely, his brain essentially says, "It's safe now. I don't have to hold it together anymore." That's restraint collapse. It isn't a discipline problem. It isn't disrespect. It's relief, expressed the only way an 8-year-old's overwhelmed nervous system knows how: through tears, slammed doors, and sudden rage over something as small as the wrong colored cup. And this is exactly why the good kids, the compliant ones, the teacher's favorites, are so often the ones who explode hardest at home. The politeness isn't fake, it's real effort, and real effort sustained for hours always demands a release. Myra is about to learn what most parenting advice gets completely backward, and why trying to stop the meltdown the moment it starts is the worst thing she could do. That evening, Myra decides to try what she's always tried before: The moment Ethan starts yelling, she jumps straight into problem-solving mode. Calm down, use your words, tell me what's wrong. But her calm, reasonable questions only make him scream louder. He can't answer her. He doesn't even know why he's crying about a broken pencil that 5 minutes ago wouldn't have bothered him at all. This is where most parents get stuck, and where Myra had been stuck for months. She'd been treating the meltdown like a problem to solve, when really it was a battery that needed to recharge. You cannot logic a child out of restraint collapse. Reasoning requires the thinking part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex. And by 3:47 p.m., Ethan's prefrontal cortex has clocked out. He's operating entirely from his emotional brain, the amygdala, which doesn't respond to words. It responds to safety. So instead of asking questions, Myra tries something different this time. She says nothing at all. She simply sits down on the floor next to him, not touching him, not talking, just present. No lecture, no, why are you acting like this? Just quiet company while the storm passes through him. It takes 4 minutes. 4 minutes of silence, and Ethan's breathing slows. He crawls into her lap without a word, and the anger dissolves into exhaustion, then into a few quiet tears. The real kind, not the rage kind. When he finally speaks, his voice is small. "School was hard today," he says. "Marcus wouldn't let me play at recess." There it is. The actual reason, buried under 20 minutes of chaos, finally surfaces once his nervous system feels safe enough to let it out. Myra realizes something she'll carry with her from now on. The meltdown was never about the pencil. It was never really about anything that happened at home at all. It was Ethan finally putting down a weight he'd been carrying since 8 a.m. and choosing her, his safe place, as the one person he trusted enough to fall apart in front of. In the weeks that followed, Myra and Henry built something they now call the buffer hour, the first 30 to 60 minutes after school, protected on purpose. No questions about homework, no "how was your day?" Just snacks, quiet, and space, because they finally understood that Ethan wasn't being defiant in that window. He was decompressing. They learned to watch for the warning signs earlier, too. The slammed door, the short temper, the tears over nothing. Instead of correcting the behavior in the moment, they started naming the feeling underneath it. "Your body is telling me school was really hard today." Not a question, just an acknowledgement. And almost every time naming it did more to diffuse Ethan than any amount of reasoning ever had. The change didn't happen overnight, but within a few weeks, the after-school explosions grew shorter, then less frequent. Ethan started coming home, dropping his bag, and instead of screaming, he'd flop onto the couch and just breathe for a while before finding his words. Myra hadn't fixed her son. She'd never needed to. She'd simply stopped mistaking his exhaustion for misbehavior and given him what he actually needed, a safe place to stop holding it together. If you're a parent watching this and recognizing your own child in Ethan's story, know this. That meltdown at 3:47 p.m. isn't a reflection of your parenting. It's a sign your child trusts you enough to be fully themselves in front of you, even when themselves is falling apart. That trust is not something to fix. It's something to protect. And if this video helped you understand your child a little better today, that buffer hour idea is just the beginning. There's a lot more to unpack about what kids don't have the words to tell us. Subscribe, and we'll keep exploring it together, one story at a time.